Some nights start like any other. The buzz of a diner light, the smell of coffee, and the sound of my own tired heartbeat. But one Friday night changed everything for me. My name is Danielle Brooks, and this is the story of how a single shift cracked my world open and taught me grace. I've been a waitress for most of my adult life. It isn't glamorous, but it's honest. There's a rhythm to it. Plates, refills, small talk, the hum of the jukebox mixing with the clink of silverware. When people ask me why I stay, I tell them, because it keeps the lights on and my daughter dreaming. That Friday night was like any other. The dinner rush had slowed to a gentle murmur, and I was already planning the grocery list in my head. My feet hurt, my hair smelled like grease, and my smile had become muscle memory. At 9:47 p.m., the bell over the door jingled, and a man in a grey suit walked in. You could tell by the cut of the fabric that he didn't belong here. Not because he was better, but because he thought he was. He didn't look around for a table. He scanned the room like someone inspecting property. Then he slid into booth 7, the one under the flickering light we never fixed because management said, it gives character. I walked over, pad in hand. Evening, sir. Coffee to start. He didn't look up. Water. With lemon. No smile. No please. Just a tone that made the air colder. I brought the water, set it down, and gave him the menu. The condensation ran down my fingers as I said, take your time. He ordered a steak, medium rare, and mashed potatoes. Simple enough. When I took the order back to the kitchen, Jamal, our cook, grinned at me through the steam. Late one, huh? Always, I said. Let's make it good. Maybe he'll tip like he means it. We both laughed, but something in my chest already felt uneasy. 10 minutes later, I carried the plate out, balancing it carefully so the gravy wouldn't slide. He didn't notice. He was too busy scrolling on his phone. I set the plate down and smiled. Here we go, sir. Steak, medium rare, mashed potatoes on the side. Anything else I can get you? He glanced at the plate, pressed the edge of the steak with his fork, and sighed, heavy enough for half the diner to hear. Looks overdone. I blinked. I can have the kitchen fix that right away. He waved a hand as if brushing away a fly. Just forget it. Then louder. No one here listens. That sentence hung in the air like static. I felt the weight of eyes on my back. The other tables, Jamal peeking from the kitchen window. I forced a steady breath and said softly, I'm sorry the meal isn't to your liking. I'll get another one made. He leaned back, arms crossed. Do you people ever get anything right? He didn't have to shout. His tone did the damage. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. I could feel the pulse in my wrists, hear the soft hiss of the grill behind me. A couple at the counter went quiet. Jamal froze behind the pass-through. I picked up the plate, careful not to spill, and turned toward the kitchen. Inside, Jamal whispered, Don't let him get to you. I'm fine, I said, but my voice shook. You shouldn't have to be, he muttered, sliding a new steak onto the grill. I leaned against the counter and stared at the tile floor. I'd worked double shifts all week, barely slept, and still came in smiling. Now, one sentence from a stranger was enough to make me feel invisible. When I brought the second steak out, he didn't even look at it. He was already talking to Martha, my manager. I caught only fragments. Unprofessional. Poor service. Expect better. Martha smiled, that managerial smile meant to calm customers and keep tips flowing. We'll take care of it, sir, she said. When she turned toward me, her expression changed to quiet command. Danielle, can I see you in the back? I followed her through the swinging doors, past the clatter of dishes. Look, she began. He's a business client staying at the Marriott. We get a lot of convention traffic from them. Please just apologize so we can smooth things over. For what? I asked. I didn't do anything wrong. Danielle, she sighed, rubbing her temples. I know it's unfair, but we can't afford a complaint. Her words landed like cold rain. We can't afford it. Not you. We. I wanted to shout. Instead, I said, all right. When I walked back out, the diner felt smaller. My apron strings felt tighter. I stood beside his booth. Sir, I said, quiet but clear. I'm sorry your meal didn't meet expectations. He didn't look up. He just nodded like he'd taught me a lesson. Something inside me broke. A tiny, invisible fracture I didn't yet feel. I worked the rest of the shift on autopilot. Wiped tables. Smiled. Counted tips. When I finally clocked out after midnight, the only sound was the buzz of the neon sign and the faint hum of the refrigerator. That's when I saw the receipt he left behind. $1 tip. Across the bottom, he'd written, smile more. I sat in my car for almost an hour before driving home. The parking lot was empty, except for the streetlight flickering above me. I replayed the whole night in my head. The way he said "you people," the way Martha told me to apologize, the way my voice disappeared somewhere between duty and dignity. I should have been angry. Instead, I felt hollow. At home, Maya was asleep on the couch, cartoons still flashing on the TV. I turned off the light and kissed her forehead. She stirred, whispered, "Hey, Mommy. You smell like fries." I laughed softly. "Go back to sleep, baby." In the quiet, I promised myself something. Tomorrow I'd forget this. I'd show up again, pour coffee, and smile. That's what survivors do. But the world had other plans. I woke up to my phone vibrating across the nightstand like it was trying to escape. 5 missed calls from Jamal. 3 texts that just said, "Call me. Now." My stomach knotted before I even opened them. When I finally did, there was a link. At first, I thought it was another funny video we shared on long shifts. But as soon as the clip loaded, my heart stopped. There I was, me, at booth 7, standing next to the man in the grey suit. The sound was muffled, but you could hear enough, my voice steady, his sharp, the manager's apology that wasn't meant for me. And then it cut off. 30 seconds. 30 seconds of my life that the whole world now owns. By the time I got to the diner, there were already cars in the lot, reporters leaning against their hoods. Inside, everyone whispered. Phones out, faces lit by the glow of the same video. Martha was in her office with the blinds closed. Jamal caught my eye and mouthed, "I'm sorry." He explained what happened. "I posted it to my story last night. Didn't mean for it to blow up. Someone downloaded it, reshared it, and it's everywhere now." I should have been angry. But I was numb, like the sound had left the world. Then the phone rang. And rang again. Customers cancelled reservations. A news van parked across the street. By noon, my name, Danielle Brooks, was trending. People online said I was brave. Others said I was dramatic. Some wrote essays about the state of service work in America. None of them knew me, my daughter, my rent, my mother's prescriptions. It was strange watching strangers defend or dissect me. Their voices were louder than mine had ever been. Reporters asked for interviews. Podcasts wanted soundbites. Talk shows wanted me to cry on camera. I told them all no. I still had to work. Bills didn't pause for virality. But when I tried to serve tables again, people didn't see Danielle the waitress. They saw her, the woman from the clip. Every table came with pity. Some left $100 tips, smiling like they were part of a redemption project. Others filmed me quietly, hoping for another headline. The kindness felt heavy. The attention felt colder than silence. One evening, a college kid stopped me on the sidewalk. "You changed everything," he said. I smiled politely. "I just went to work." 2 weeks later, Martha resigned. The diner owner brought in a new manager, Clara, a woman about my age who believed in listening first. She painted the walls, added a tip jar labeled respect. But even with new paint, the air still carried the echo of that night. One afternoon, I hid in the pantry, scrolling through messages I wasn't sure I wanted to read. Among the noise was a single email from a community college. They were hosting a workshop on professional dignity and wanted me to speak. I almost deleted it. Then Maya walked in, wearing her school backpack. "Mom, why don't you? You always tell me to use my voice." I laughed, shaky. "Do I?" She nodded. "All the time." That was the moment I realized I couldn't keep running from my own story. The classroom was smaller than I'd imagined. 30 faces, notebooks open, waiting. My hands trembled as I took the podium. "I don't know what you've seen online," I began. "But I'm not a symbol. I'm just someone who wanted to do her job with pride." I talked about that night, about silence that cuts deeper than words, about how respect can't be begged for. It's lived. When I finished, no one clapped right away. Then a young woman in the back whispered, "Thank you." It wasn't applause, but it felt like air after drowning. Afterward, students came up quietly. Some shared their own stories. A nurse ignored by her supervisor, a cashier mocked for her accent. For the first time, I understood that my 30 seconds of humiliation had become a mirror for thousands of people who had no voice. Over the next months, I kept speaking. Church groups, local radio, small conferences. Everywhere I went, people wanted to hear not just the pain, but the recovery. I told them the truth. Healing isn't loud, it's daily. Meanwhile, life settled into a strange balance. The internet moved on to new outrage. The diner found its rhythm again. Maya kept leaving drawings in my apron pocket. Hearts, stars, a stick figure pouring coffee. One of them said, "My mom serves hope." That note became my bookmark, my reminder. Almost a year later, I was wiping down booth 7 when the door chimed. I looked up and froze. It was him. Thinner, older somehow, but unmistakable. For a heartbeat, I wanted to walk away. Instead, I poured him a coffee and set it down. "Afternoon," I said evenly. He looked up slowly. "You probably don't want to see me." "I see you now," I replied. "That's enough." He took a breath. "I came to apologize. What I said, how I acted, there's no excuse. I've had a year to think about it. I lost my job. My daughter showed me the video and said, 'Dad, this is who you are when no one's watching.' I didn't recognize myself." His voice shook. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed to say I'm sorry." I listened. The noise of the diner faded to a hum. Then I said quietly, "Growth matters more than guilt." He nodded, tears in his eyes, left a note beneath the check, and walked out into the sunlight. Later, when I read the note, it said, "Thank you for showing me what decency looks like. I hope my daughter grows to be like you." I sat there for a long time, holding that paper like it might crumble. Forgiveness, I realized, wasn't about letting someone else off the hook. It was about setting myself free. That night, I walked home under the streetlights. The city smelled like rain, and the pavement glistened. Every step felt lighter. For the first time in a long while, the memory of Booth 7 didn't hurt. It simply existed. Part of my story, not the whole of it. When I reached home, Maya was waiting by the window. "Mom, you look different," she said. "Maybe I finally learned to breathe," I answered. It's strange how quiet life gets after a storm. For months, my phone hardly buzzed. The news vans stopped parking outside the diner. People went back to their routines, and the internet found new stories to rage about. But inside me, something had changed. The silence wasn't empty anymore, it was spacious. I used that space to listen to myself. What do I want to do with the rest of my life? I'd spent years serving food. Now, maybe I could serve meaning. Clara, the new manager, was the first to suggest it. "You've got a gift," she said one morning as we refilled sugar jars. "Every new hire listens when you talk. You calm them down before they even know they're nervous." She was right. When teenagers came in for their first jobs, I found myself teaching them how to handle bad nights, rude customers, exhaustion. Not from a handbook, but from the heart. "You don't have to lose yourself to keep a job," I'd tell them. "Take a breath before you answer. Look people in the eye. Remember you're more than the apron you wear." One of them, a shy girl named Angie, whispered one night, "I used to think people like me didn't belong in nice places. You changed that." That sentence felt like sunlight after winter. At home, Maya was growing fast. She started middle school, joined the debate club, and filled notebooks with essays. One evening she read me a piece she'd written. "My mother taught me that grace isn't weakness, it's power that stays calm." I nearly cried into my coffee. Her pride made me want to do more than survive. So, I enrolled in night classes at the community college, the same one where I'd first spoken. I signed up for human resources management. The professor, Dr. Chen, asked why HR. "Because someone needs to protect the next me," I said. He smiled. "That's the best reason I've heard all year." Studying after a 10-hour shift was brutal. But learning about fairness, policy, and communication gave me a new kind of strength. It felt like building armor from knowledge. One afternoon, an email arrived from the city's Small Business Alliance. They were hosting an event called Local Leaders of Change and wanted me to speak. The subject line read, "From diner table to boardroom." I laughed when I read it, but my hands shook anyway. Could I really stand on a stage and tell this story again? That night I asked Maya, "Do you think people still want to hear it?" She grinned. "Mom, they need to. Some people don't believe kindness survives in the world. You prove it does." So I said yes. The auditorium lights were blinding. My heart thudded loud enough to drown the applause when they called my name. I stepped up to the podium and looked out at a sea of faces, owners, students, city workers, all waiting. "I used to think healing meant forgetting," I began. "But healing is remembering without letting it hurt the same way." I told them about the diner, the moment I felt invisible, and the moment I chose not to stay that way. I told them about forgiveness, not as surrender but as release. "You can carry pain," I said, "or you can carry purpose. They weigh the same, but one keeps you moving." When I finished, the applause rolled like thunder. People stood. Some cried. And all I could think was, I didn't plan any of this. I just went to work one night. Backstage, Clara hugged me. You did it, she whispered. Dr. Chen pressed a small pin into my palm, shaped like an open door. For the doors you open for others, he said. That little piece of metal sits on my dresser to this day. In the following weeks, I started volunteering at a non-profit that trains service industry workers in conflict management. They asked me to lead sessions called Grace Under Pressure. I'd walk in with a coffee pot prop, pour imaginary cups, and tell real stories. The room always went silent when I said, "Respect isn't a customer policy. It's a human one." On my day off, I still stop by Miller's Diner. Booth 7 looks smaller now. Sometimes I sit there with a cup of decoff and remember how afraid I was that night. Then I picture all the people who found courage because of it. One afternoon, Angie, now assistant manager, slid into the opposite seat. "Have you ever thought about leaving?" she asked. I smiled. "Maybe someday. But this booth reminds me where I learned who I am." She nodded, understanding that roots and wings can coexist. A year later, I stood in that same booth again, this time being filmed for a short Black Diaries feature. The producer asked, "If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?" I looked straight into the lens. I'd say, "You're enough before anyone validates you." And I'd tell her not to confuse silence with defeat. Sometimes silence is where strength grows its voice. They kept the camera rolling even after I stopped talking. I guess they wanted to capture the quiet, the part of healing you can't script. Tonight, as I record this voiceover, the diner hums in the background. Maya's doing homework in the corner booth. Clara's counting receipts. Jamal's whistling over the grill. Life went on, but better, softer somehow. People still write to me. Some ask how to forgive. I tell them, forgiveness isn't saying what happened was okay. It's saying it won't own you anymore. When I lock the doors at closing time, I look at my reflection in the glass. Older eyes. A stronger smile. The neon sign flickers, open 24 hours. And I think, so am I. Because grace, I've learned, doesn't close. If my story touched you, don't let it end here. Leave a comment, and tell me what grace means to you. Click like if you believe dignity is a right, not a reward. And subscribe to Black Diaries, so we can keep sharing true stories of strength and renewal from the Black community. Help us reach 5,000 subscribers. Every click keeps these voices alive. Come back tomorrow for another story that reminds us, even when the world tests your worth, your spirit decides the answer.